If you are the big tree, we are the small axe. It might take a long time to take the big tree down, but little by little, the small axe will bring it down. Small acts of resistance can bring change. Small Axe, the series of movies by the director Steve McQueen, is about these small but very important acts of resistance.
See, all the African man love reggae, but it's in our blood.
I'm not African.
Come again?
I'm not African.
Edred, you is African.
No.
There are 5 episodes: Mangrove, Lovers Rock, Red, White and Blue, Alex Whittle, and Education. These are real stories. Mangrove was a real restaurant. Red, White and Blue is about Leroy Logan. Leroy is a real person. Alex Whittle also is a real person. Mangrove, the first one, is the best of the 5. It's longer than the others. It's 2 hours long, whereas the others are only 1 hour long. The story has a better pacing. It isn't rushed. Mangrove was a restaurant in Notting Hill that was constantly harassed by the police, but the community resisted.
We've complained to the police about the police and nothing's been done. We've complained to magistrates about magistrates and nothing's been done. We've complained to judges about judges and nothing's been done. Now it's time to do something ourselves. That statement was made at the Mangrove demonstration and represents the essence of black people's experience in Britain.
Lovers Rock is very different from the others. It's about a party. In the 60s, black people in London weren't welcome in the clubs, so they would arrange their own parties. They were safe places. I liked this episode, but it was quite divisive. Many people disliked it. Red, White and Blue is about the real story of Leroy Logan, a bright black man who decided to become a cop. This was the second best episode. Leroy's father was beaten by the police for no reason other than just being black. The 4th episode, Alex Whittle, starts with protagonist in jail. It's about the real story of Alex Whittle, who is now a renowned writer. This episode ends with the protagonist understanding that discovering your past is the key to change our future. We need to educate ourselves.
You see, if you don't know your past, then you won't know your future.
The 5th and final episode, Education, is about how the British educational system was racist. It also makes it clear that what we need is not this education they try to teach in the schools. We need proper education. We need to forget what we've been taught and learn again, but this time the right way. I think it was a perfect episode to end this series. We need to learn about the independence of Haiti. We need to learn about the bright minds of Africa. Black people are also producers of knowledge. We need to stop thinking all knowledge comes from Europe. I have one video where I talk about how philosophy was born in Africa, and I use the movie Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse to talk about the concept of pluriversality, formulated by the South African philosopher Mogol Ramos. I have put a link in the card and also in the description. One common criticism of Small Axe is that it was supposed to be a celebration of black culture, but it doesn't deliver that, because it cuts out the successful part of these stories. Leroy Logan had a successful career as a police officer. Alex Whittle became a famous writer. Steve McQueen could have shown at least a little bit their success. I agree with this criticism, but I wouldn't go as far as saying that this series was a wasted opportunity. I still think Small Axe is a great series. Small Axe is realistic. It talks about how black people need to become protagonists of their own stories. It talks about black skin and white masks, but it does so without transforming the characters into caricatures. It's different from Sorry to Bother You, which is also about racism, but it's more surreal. Sorry to Bother You feels more like the movie Brazil, whereas Small Axe feels more like a movie by Ken Loach. Another similarity with Ken Loach is that in Small Axe the characters speak with a West Indian accent. Ken Loach says that if you ask people to speak differently, you lose more than the voice. In Sorry to Bother You, the black characters have a black voice, which is the real voice, and a white voice, which is a voice-over.
Use your white voice.
Hey, Mr. Kramer, this is Langston from Regal View.
Since it's a caricature, it exaggerates to make its message more clear. It's about how black people have to act and sound like white people to be accepted by the white society.
Well, man, I'm gonna have to get me some new suits.
I'm not. I might be black, but I'm from Surrey.
Oh, God.
Small Axe also deals with the same topic, especially in the 4th episode, Alex Whittle, but in a realistic way. Frantz Fanon, in his book Black Skin, White Masks, talks about how the culture of colonialism imposed the white standards. He argues that the colonialist white society despises anything that's not white. Fanon talks a lot about the gaze, about how the gaze of others make you aware that you aren't white, that you are not welcome. Small Axe portrays the racist gaze many times, like in this scene here. Colonialism imposed that the right way to walk, to talk, to think is the white way. It imposes the white identity on the black people. This affects the psychological development of black people.
You wanted us more British than the British.
Since you are little, they teach you that you are subhuman, that your hair is unbeautiful, that blackness is evil. But this is not true. Black is beautiful, black is good. Africa is the birthplace not only of humanity, but also of mathematics and philosophy and many other wonderful things. Small Axe has historical value. The message is that we need to know our own history, but it goes beyond the message. Watching Small Axe is an educational experience. We learn a bit more about black resistance in London. It was recorded a few months before the Black Lives Matter protests. By learning history, we learn that the protests last year are part of decades and decades of resistance. Throwing to the harbor the statue of a slave trader might be seen as a small act, and it is small, but little by little we will take the big tree down.